Hello everybody and welcome back to IA Command with another episode of Deeper Look, where we take a deeper look at some of the less played cards in campaign and see where they are best used. Now before we start, if you want to support the channel, please make sure to go to patreon.com/IACommand and become a patron. All support is welcome and very appreciated. If you want to support the channel without paying any money, you can do so by leaving a comment down below. Also, watching more videos back to back really helps the channel apparently and gets it in front of more people on YouTube. So after you finish this video, go find another video on my channel that you haven't watched yet and watch it, and that will help out a lot. Alright, so let's jump right in. For today's deeper look video, we're going to be taking a look at a specific hero rather than a specific item, and a specific class card for that specific hero. We're going to be looking at Saska, and specifically Saska Tef's Gadgeteer class card. Now this is her 3 XP class card, and it actually has 2 abilities. One is that her Battle Technician ability can be used up to twice per activation. Really important because Battle Technician is the ability that lets her give out a device token to either herself or an adjacent friendly figure. Gadgeteer is really interesting because it actually gives a very unique ability that I think is actually still completely unique in the campaign. I don't think any other hero has this ability, which is that it also lets you attach 1 additional modification to each of Saska's weapons. And that includes weapons that don't have a modification slot and normally can't take modifications. So you can create some very unique combinations with this class card. And regardless of the modifications, I actually think Saska should be prioritizing this class card as her first class card she gets. Because again, Battle Technician is so critical to all of her other abilities. Being able to double up the number of device tokens she gives out each turn, it's going to really help improve her performance and make her much more successful as a support hero. So, especially if you're playing her in a mini campaign, the nice thing is you get 3 XP right off the bat before even your first mission. So you definitely would want to use that to pick up this as her first ability, so that she can be handing out more of those device tokens. But I wanted to look at some of the unique combinations that she can create with this card. You can actually create some really neat stuff that no other hero can wield in terms of weapons and modification combinations. So I've got 3 that I'm going to be looking at. There's actually 5 weapons in the campaign, I believe, when I looked. But 2 of them I think are not quite worth taking. They're 2 melee weapons that are not really have anything interesting going on for them in terms of like their abilities and stuff. And Saska doesn't really lend herself to melee attacking. You'd much rather have her holding a ranged weapon because that gives her a lot more mobility in terms of where she can position herself to support the rest of the team while still being able to fire off an attack of opportunity at range. If she's holding a melee weapon, you have to move her up to her target, and she's going to have to spend her movement points doing that, and she might not be able to do what she needs to do to support the rest of her teammates. So I would lean further towards ranged weapons, but we do have 1 melee weapon that she can use, that she can create some interesting combinations with. So let's take a look. So Vibro Knucklers, this is a tier 2 weapon for 400 credits. It's a blade weapon. It has, again, no modification slots available until we have Gadgeteer. And it's a green and yellow melee weapon with Surge for Cleave 2, Surge for +2 damage, and Surge for Pierce 2 and Bleed. So this is actually a pretty good weapon in terms of surge abilities. The green-yellow dice is kind of not great, but it's good because green-yellow is going to give you kind of the sweet spot of damage and surges if you have really good surge abilities. And the other thing that's nice is that Saska, if she uses a device token on her own attack, she'll add a surge with that ability. I believe it's called Practical Solutions, is her other ability that when you perform an attack, if you have a device token, you can spend that device token to add +1 surge to your attack. So it's really good with this one because all of these surge abilities are worth 2 damage each. +2, Pierce 2, and Bleed, and Cleave 2. Now some cool things that you can do with this. The first one would be Extended Haft. This is a balance modification, and the weapon it's attached to gains reach. If it has reach, it will gain Pierce 1 instead, but in this case, it will give reach. And the reason that's really good is because the surge for Cleave 2 becomes a lot better with reach. When you can reach out in that like 8-space circle rather than just, well actually no, it's even bigger than that. The 8-space circle is what's directly around you, so what is that? Let's see. Anyway, it's a much larger circle to go around with reach, right? You're doing, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 5. It's a 25-space circle versus just a 9-space or 8-space circle around Saska. So it really opens up what you can target with the Cleave. And Cleave 2 is a lot. I think you could actually, like, that's why this is the one weapon where I might justify giving Saska a melee weapon and have her focus on being an attacker, is that if you can do Cleave 2 on each of your attacks, like, you can really do a lot of spread damage and kill multiple figures in one activation, which is what you want to be able to do as an attacker. And having reach really helps that. The other thing that really helps that is the weighted head, which is a tier 2 upgrade, and it is 400 credits, and you can exhaust it while attacking to give the attack Cleave 1, and it also gives you 2 more surges for Cleave 1 and Cleave 1. So being able to do Cleave 3 on an attack, either by exhausting it or by spending a surge on a second attack if you've already exhausted it, you can easily do 6 damage of Cleave, and then you can spread it around amongst 4 different targets. Gives you really great damage control. Now, if you do take the weighted head, you lose a lot of that range you get from Extended Haft, so you'll have to use a lot more movement points to get into just the right spot where that Cleave is really going to hit hard. But you can do a lot of damage with that. So that could be a really unique Saska build too, is a melee attacking Saska who's doing a ton of spread damage with Cleave. Alright, looking at the next one. Also, she does have another ability that when you spend a device token on Practical Solutions to add the surge, I think she has a 3 XP ability that says you can swap out one of your attack dice for another one. So you could swap out the green or the yellow for a red and get more target damage, plus you still get the +1 surge to get that Cleave 2 when you need it. And if you get any surges, you'll have a surge for +2 as well. So that's going to be really strong with this too. Alright, looking at the next one we've got here is the T21. This is a tier 2 weapon. It's a blaster for 900 credits. It rolls green, green, yellow, so 3 dice weapon in tier 2. And it has surge for stun, surge for pierce 2, and surge for +3 accuracy. Now the problem with the T21, it often looks very appealing, especially to new players. But the problem with the T21 is that green, green, yellow, you're going to very often roll lots of surges and not very much damage. The greens are rolling a lot of times just 1 damage on each one, same for the yellow. So you'll oftentimes get rolls where you've got like 2 damage total on the dice and 3 surges. And then you can only surge for Pierce 2. You can't actually up the damage. And it's even possible to roll 0 damage with this attack, and you can't convert your surges into any damage with the abilities, and there's no modification slot to do so. But with Saska's ability, we can add some cards that can really increase the variability or decrease the variability on the T21 and make it a lot more consistent in its ability to deal damage. First up, we have the Spread Barrel. For one thing, the T21, it does have a surge for +3 accuracy, but green, green, yellow, the accuracy is just really bad on that. You're looking at, like, first of all, your minimum range is 2. If you shoot something beyond range 2, it is possible to miss, I believe. Although no, actually I think because the surge for +3, I think your minimum range is like 4. I think if you shoot something at range 4 or less, you are guaranteed to hit it because... Wait, is that true? No, I think that's not true because I think the green dice... Let's see. I think all the double damage sides on the green dice have 2 accuracy. So it is range 4, but the spread barrel still works nicely to add damage to your attack. One that I really like is the under barrel. If you don't have anybody on your hero team that can deal blast damage, the under barrel can be a nice hole filler for your team and give you something that can do blast with 3 dice. And the nice thing is it also gives you that +1 accuracy, so you can attack a lot farther out. Next up is bolt upgrade. As a support figure, generally Saska is only going to be doing 1 attack per activation, although she can do 2. But if she's doing 1 attack, then an ability like bolt upgrade, which can exhaust when you declare an attack to replace 1 die in the attack pool with an attack die of your choice, that can be really powerful because it turns that green-green-yellow that can be very inconsistent and low damage into green-green-red, which becomes a very consistent, high damage and still high surge to get that surge for +2, or excuse me, surge for pierce 2, so that you know you're going to get that damage through. So bolt upgrade for 250 credits is actually probably one of the better ones you can put on the T21 in my opinion. So you can fire off those green-green-red attacks at once each activation, and you're probably going to do like 4 or 5 damage with that attack. It does give you decreasing return or diminishing returns, obviously, if you're going to try and attack twice in an activation. But the nice thing is the bolt upgrade is really cheap at 250 credits. So for only 1,150 credits investment, that's pretty good to have her as one of your secondary attackers. And then if you want her to be really one of your main attackers, the Disruption Cell at 600 credits, which is a tier 3 upgrade. The rest of these are tier 1 and tier 2. For 600 credits, you get +2 accuracy, and every time you attack, you can replace 1 die in your attack pool with a red dice. And so if you're going to be attacking twice, you're going to be getting good return on investment for this each round. The problem is, at that point, you're spending 1,500 credits total on Saska's attack. So this is really only if, like, you've got a weird team composition of lots of supports and you don't have enough primary attacking heroes that are good at attacking, and Saska needs to fill in as one of your attackers. This is when I would go for the Disruption Cell if you've got the T21. But otherwise, I think the bolt upgrade is really good with Saska here. And then finally, if we want to go real hardcore with our attacking with Saska, we can get the DXR, the tier 3 weapon for 1,000 credits. It's 2 red dice, ranged weapon, but it has +6 accuracy. So you're going to be you can hit anything within 6 spaces, and it has surge for +2 damage and surge for pierce 2. Now this is already really good with Saska because of her practical solutions. So you're always getting that +1 surge at least on one of your attacks, possibly 2 if you can, if you want to give all the device tokens to Saska. But some really cool combos you can use with DXR6 is the tactical display, which lets you exhaust it to apply +1 surge. So you can always get that +2 damage or pierce 2 even when you need it, when you want it, and really ups the damage. It makes this hit like a proper tier 3 and above weapon. You can also get the sniper scope. Since the DXR can hit out to range 5 and 6, the sniper scope says while you're attacking, the target space is 5 or more spaces away, apply +1 surge to the attack results. I believe the sniper scope is tier 3 as well, so if you didn't pick up the tactical display, the sniper scope can be a really good pickup if you also see the DXR in the armory. And for only 250 credits, that's a cheap weapon. That is going to be hitting just about as hard as a pulse cannon, if not harder. The only problem is it doesn't work well with her, what is her other tier 3 XP ability? Power Converter. It doesn't work great with power converter because you want to be converting those dice into red dice, but you already have all red dice in your pool. I mean, you could convert reds into blues or yellows for more surges, but it's not great, and it costs a strain to do that, so not great if you've gotten Power Converter, which is one of her more highly recommended class cards, but it is pretty fun to be attacking with red, effectively plus 2 damage, and possibly a surge for Pierce 2. So that is one of the fun ones. So those are the combinations that I think are really cool with Saska's Gadgeteer ability, which is an ability you should be getting early with Saska. Let me know in the comments, what do you think? What are your favorite combinations with Saska, with the Gadgeteer? Are there any I missed? I didn't talk at all about how Gadgeteer is the only way in the game to have 3 upgrades, modifications on a weapon. But it gets kind of weird because you need to be aware that each modification has a different subtype on it. So for instance, we've got extended haft here and weighted head. Both of these are balance modifications. You can't equip the same type of modification onto the same weapon. So you could not equip extended haft and weighted head onto the same melee weapon, even if it had the slots necessary to do so. So it gets kind of tricky there. You've got to watch out for duplicating your different types. It does restrict the types of combinations you can do, but there are some. It is interesting that you can do 3 modifications on a single weapon. Also, of course, you got to pay for all those modifications and the weapon, so you're like really investing into a single attack. But it's interesting. So let me know in the comments, what do you think about Saska? What's your favorite ways to use Gadgeteer to modify weapons with an extra modification? And I hope we'll see you again for the next one. See you later.